Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk to you about the illusion or delusion of the perfect woman. Because here's the thing, and I don't think most men are aware of this. It's only men who can abstract and idealize love in this manner. And there are evolutionary reasons for this to be true. And I want to talk about them. But first, let me just say thank you to everybody who's been stopping by, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, even donating. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and click the subscribe button, click bell symbol next to it, and accept the email notifications. It'll help me grow my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the illusion and the delusion of the perfect woman. Because, as I said, it's only the men who can abstract and idealize this perfect love, this soul mate. The women can't do it. And I think once you understand this, it might help you from falling into this trap and developing, it's more than just a broken heart. It's like losing your way in life for a man. This is why it's so important. The true calling of MGTOW, the true purpose of MGTOW is to help the men who are suffering understand what they are going through. Many of your great philosophers could foresee this coming. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said God is dead. He meant that all that the people believe in, their worldview, will be lost to them. And this is what's happening with the men in this age of gynocentrism and feminism. They have lost their worldview. Men loved women. They worship women. It drives civilization. But if you give the women too much freedom, too much unrestrained female sexuality, and they go wild with it, okay, and they start twerking in public, it destroys the family unit and cohesiveness, and it allows an authoritative state to take charge. And what's worse is it's the state that the men built. It is the patriarchy. I don't have a problem with the word patriarchy. A strong, benevolent, helpful, but not obtrusive, guiding strength, like a father, like a good father. I have no problem with it. And I think you can see it embodied in our institutions, the ideals and the principles that drive our institutions. Now, and I've got another surprise for you, gentlemen. These are also masculine traits. This is more masculine projection. Do you ever think to yourself as a man, gee, other people just don't see the world the same way I do? You know, I really am looking for a type of justice and a type of fairness and a type of equity. If a man works hard, he should get paid well. If a man doesn't work, he shouldn't be paid and he shouldn't be taken care of. And that's just the way it is. And that way you're going to build strong men. And that's the way I see it. That's the way I square the circle. But surprisingly, not everybody else sees it that way, right? A scrappy little hungry dog on the, at the bottom of the pack after there's a big kill and he doesn't get anything of it. He doesn't look at it quite that way. He looks at it from the point of view of the 4 other times when he wasn't able to get a scrap of meat. So now he's taken what is his. Indeed, within these institutions, there are instances of individual corruption, but that's not the point. The point is that it's the man who builds all of these abstractions. And guess what? The perfect woman is another abstraction. How do you explain the fact that such delicate and beautiful creatures, such as females, are able to carry themselves and present themselves such as they do? How do you explain that? The only way to explain that is to understand that the men built the city walls. They built the institution of law itself. They built the police force. They built all of the supporting institutions that mirror these values. They built the Western Christian worldview. And it is largely predicated upon respecting, worshiping women and the weak. And men built that through the projection of their values, their principles into objective reality. That's what men do. They build things. And you could even suggest that they largely do it in order to please the women and to get together with the women. So bear with me, all right? So the men of the tribe, of the community, of the city, of the group, of the country, of the nation, of the state, built this nest, cities, civilization, technology, in order to please the females. In order to do this, a whole set of evolutionary evolutionary requirements fell into place. And the ones who couldn't make it, they got weeded out. Either you hit the ground running or you hit the ground. If you can't make it in a modern technological Western society, sorry, not sorry. As a consequence of this, the women, their values, their sentiments come to dominate the system that the men built. They give it over to the women. The women demand it. Indeed, the needs of the many demand it. And they invert the values. They suggest that the traits, the qualities, the virtues that built their civilization, that built their nest, are not the good, valuable, virtuous traits, but indeed the traits that they possess. And that those are the worthy ones. Being needy, being a victim, being persecuted. This is what's important, they suggest. Not being strong, not being capable, not overcoming obstacles, not adapting objective reality to your wants, to your will. So it's a very special type of man that is developed, right? Very intelligent type of man, very adaptable type of man, but not too intelligent and not too adaptable. We need a set of balancing qualities, right? If the bow is strung too hard, too tensely, the bow will break and it will be impossible to pull. But if the bow is strung too loosely, it won't be able to generate any force. If the sword is too sharp and it becomes brittle, right? The sharper the edge that you can put on it, the harder the steel becomes, the more likely it is to break. If the steel is too soft, it can't hold an edge. It's very pliable and durable, but it can't get sharp. So you're looking for a balance between these two. This is why the Japanese katana is so beautiful, right? Because it is these two, types of steel bonded together. Okay, a little off topic, but not really. So the woman herself, the female form, has to become this idealized, principled, abstracted vision, the Mother Mary, in order for the men, and this must be instilled into the men. Otherwise, you don't get, this cooperative building male. Now, in exchange for that, the women respect the men. They recognize what the men are contributing, the value that the man, that this type of man brings, and they submit to. And that's also built into the religion. But the civilizations become so advanced, the tools that the men build, the institutions, become so capable that they lift the women up, that they lift the dependent classes up, and then they become resentful and bitter and angry and manipulative, and they invert the values. They show their true nature. When the chips are on the table, the blades come out. In a modern Western civilization, there's a lot of chips on the table. There's a lot of money to be had through government coercion and manipulation. So it's this evolutionary crossroads. The men are evolved with this incredible ability to idealize, to abstract, to manipulate mental forms. They have to be. They're bred that way. The ones who can't do it they don't survive into the next generation. So here we are. The women are idealized. They become this symbol for the men of absolution, nirvana, the purpose behind their worldview. He attributes all good attributes, all virtue to her. She's the Princess Charming. And it has to do with the male's suffering and his sacrifice that this civilization that he's in requires of him. And it does. And the reward and the goal, the reason for it, is this soulmate, is this one love, the one, the unicorn, the female unicorn. So very painful for him to lose it. I hope you're starting to see the picture, okay? The men are evolved to serve and to worship the women, okay? To build the nest, civilization, mental skills, physical skills, sacrifice, overcoming obstacles, inventing systems. These are the traits that have been bred into the men. Our sciences reflect this, and their effectiveness over manipulating objective reality demonstrate, this is a good way to go. If you go too far in that direction, you go insane and you become weak, okay? But if you don't go far enough, again, it's like the stringing of the bow. It's like the different types of steel within the sword. This is what the man has evolved into. Has the woman evolved into that? No, she has not. And she doesn't need to. Does she have most of these abilities? Oh yeah, indeed. And can she, actualize them throughout life? Yes. Yes, she can. Individually, yes, they can do pretty much anything a man can do, largely. Some physical limitations, upper limitations, right? It's a nice demonstration, of the strength of averages and safety in the group. She's not evolved to do these things. She's evolved to reproduce and to actually need, some protection from the men. But when the men build the protection system up too greatly, the women take it for granted and they grow to resent the men and they invert the values. And this isn't the only civilization that it's happened to. This isn't the only system that it happens to. It happens within companies. It happens within organizations. It happens within gangs. No doubt happens within herds of animals. It no doubt happens within hives of insects. But it's very painful for the men to have this idealized woman, to be these dedicated workers and builders, and to have the very thing that they are built to work towards denied. denied to them. And, of course, it's used to control you. Don't you see that? What do you think all the love songs are? What do you think all the media and the stories are? What do you think all the video games are? They're this retelling of this story of, man chasing women and women, deciding, having this power. And it is the men who ascribe all the virtue and nobility to the women. The women are very practical. The women need to survive. The women need to feed their children. That's how the women make these choices. The man is sitting there and he's thinking, why is the world so cruel? How are they, why don't they recognize what a good man I am? I'm sure you are, no doubt. And here's the thing, they don't even care, right? Then it's like, and I've been treated unfairly and unjustly. And it's like, again, they don't even care. And then it's like, well, I'm turning away from this. I'm full of anger and rage. And, my view on life is destroyed. Again, they don't even care. It's not just that they did it. It's not just that they didn't stop it. They don't even care. So it's a very, very hard pill to swallow, isn't it? Right? And that's where MGTOW comes in. That's why the MGTOW message is so important and resonates so strongly with men in this time, because this is what we're going through. And these are the crossroads that we're at, which fits in perfectly with the MGTOW symbol, the detour symbol. So the way that you have been trained to get by in the world, what you are evolved to actually do, you need to repurpose it away from worshiping the women and fulfilling your biological need by your industry. And you need to use your industry now to your purposes, to the betterment and to the advantage of your life, not the group life, not the family, not the corporation. So you're not going to sacrifice your efforts in life to someone else so that then they will take care of you or supply you with something that you need, whether, emotionally, psychologically, or financial, physical. No, you're going to have to find a way to take what you do in life, your industry, your energy, your passion, and direct it in such a way that it benefits you and your life. You're an independent contract. Now, that might well include doing work for someone, writing, papers for someone, whatever it is you do. But this idea that you as a man are going to sacrifice yourself for the greater good, we've got to outgrow that, I think. Is there a place for it and is there a time for it? Sure there is. And can you decide to go that way? Yes, of course you can. But we have been conditioned to go that way. And shame if we don't go that way. In a world where there's no reward or advantage for going that way anymore. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you submit yourself to that? To all of the disadvantages of being with a woman, to all of the risks that it opens you up to. And what for? For her letting you take out the garbage? For her explaining to you how politics should work? For her explaining to you how to build something? For her explaining to you how there's no difference between her and you? Well, then why would a man get together with a woman that's no different than himself? Okay, I don't need to get all upset and worked up about, the obvious abuse of natural law and stuff. But that's where it goes, right? So I hope you understand. I hope this gives you a little insight to this dynamic so that you can see, yeah, that's exactly where it goes. That's exactly where the women are going to take it. And the tools that the men build, that's exactly what it enables them to do. And not just the women, even like the children, even the most incompetent people can stand up and say, yeah, I can press the button to launch the rocket to go to the moon. And it's like, yeah, but you can't build the rocket. And you can't build the fuel systems, and you can't do all the calculations. Generations of men had to build that knowledge. And now some fool acts like, yeah, that, I can do that too. Like, no, you can't. And if you lose it, see, that's what we're facing, okay? This crisis that we're facing, these crossroads that we're facing. If we go in one direction, we lose all of our technological advantages and abilities. And we, or we become like cattle within, this giant slaughterhouse. And if we go in another direction, we're alone. We're out of the herd. But we are looking after ourselves, and hopefully you know how to do that, which is a whole job in and of itself. So lots of topics for other videos. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, everyone.